Hey everyone, Badinsky here with another Top Stories video. My apologies there was no video last week, but it's flu vaccine season, so enough said. Let's get into the top stories for June 2016. Our first story in today's show relates to the homeless problem, specifically the support provided by Te Puea Marae. For our foreign viewers, a marae is a traditional Maori meeting place where important ceremonies and events are held. They also provide food and shelter for people in need under certain circumstances. When the homeless story of families living in cars broke in New Zealand, the Te Puea Marae opened its doors to provide emergency accommodation. This was seen as an indictment on the lack of solutions coming from government and resulted in a PR nightmare for John Key and his ministers. The marae coordinated donations and other utilities for people in need and became somewhat of a hero in this situation. So I think it is only fitting that we acknowledge this humanitarian effort and show our support for the people involved. I've left a link in the description below to the marae's Give a Little page. They're currently sitting at nearly $80,000 donated and will continue their initiative until the end of winter, so consider donating if you can. Our second story is a meme that we're probably all familiar with. It relates to change of government and the expectation that the removal of the Prime Minister will change the fortunes of New Zealand. This is of course untrue. No single politician's exit from government will change the overall direction or outcome of government policy. We've seen this many times in the past where public dislike for a particular politician creates a false sense that things would change if it were not for this individual. Government is a system and is designed so that no one individual can change an outcome. Most of our governance today comes down from the United Nations, and legislation changes are mainly made to fall in line with this globally dictated set of policies. National governments know this, but they're more than happy to play personality politics to keep people from asking the real questions about where these policies come from. Drug laws, environmental laws, and military spending is dictated by the unelected officials of the United Nations, and it is our government's job to implement these as their own, so as not to raise discontent against the global governing body. We all know that John Key is a puppet of the Wall Street banker clique. However, many political leaders in New Zealand are nothing more than UN mouthpieces, including Labour and the Greens. Our third story is one that has done the rounds on social media for many years now. The threat of microchipping has been on the horizon for over a decade, and seemingly every year a new media item claims that they are coming in the very near future. While microchipping technology is advancing and the desire to apply this to the entire population is insatiable, there is little to confirm that a plan for implementation is near. The story itself says that this was a prediction by the NBC, so has no real evidence of the claim. The entire article is based on the clause in Bill HR 4872 titled National Medical Device Registry, which mentions implantable devices. This of course could simply refer to the registration of any medically implanted device. It does not specifically discuss any mandatory implanting. I am inclined to believe that any such program seeking to force microchipping on the population will result in civil unrest and could be considered political suicide. So in this case the title is misleading. It claims that all Americans will be chips by 2017, when that clearly is not what this bill says. The bill calls for the registration of implantable medical devices such as microchips. We will likely see an increase of implantable tech in the coming years, which will require new laws to regulate them, and that is what this bill appears to be for. So that brings us to our most liked post for June, and it's the same as our second top story. It's great to see that many people realise kicking John Key out will not change the way our country is run. These are systematic problems that were not created by current sitting MPs, neither will they be fixed by them. It's up to us, the citizens, to drive change in our democratic political systems. We cannot leave our future to a group of compromised, dishonest and self-serving men and women. That's what we've been doing for the last 100 years, and the outcome is predictable. And lastly, the most shared post for 2016, which is again related to the New Zealand homeless problem. The story covers the embarrassing gaffe by Minister Paula Bennett, who falsely informed the Prime Minister that her ministry had visited families living in their cars. The lie was exposed by the Salvation Army and led to the minister apologising. What was supposed to be a PR move for the government turned into a complete loss of face by the Ministry of Social Development. The list of lies told by the current national government grows longer by the day, and I expect to see a backlash by voters at the next general election. We covered some of this story in our In Focus video a few weeks ago. If you missed it, then I'll put a link in the description below and encourage you to have a watch and leave your comments. And that's the end of this episode. I'll leave links for the stories below so you can check them out for yourself. Until next time, stay warm and dry, New Zealand, and thanks for watching. Peace.